She shoots her but misses. Charity goes inside and informs Stevens where Grace is. Grace reaches the fence. She can't climb due to her injuries. A car drives nearby. Grace desperately squeezes between the fence and asks the driver for help. The car did not stop and drives away. She sees another car coming. She hides in the woods. Stevens reports that Grace has gotten out. Daniel jokes about the situation, angering his father. Tony reminds him that if Grace lives by morning, they will all die. Alex uses his handcuffs to grind himself free. Emily and Daniel dispose of the maids in the pit. Daniel thinks that their family deserves to die. Emily argues that her kids don't deserve that. Stevens chases Grace. He tackles her down. Grace refuses to give up, choking him until he collapses. She takes the car to escape, not noticing that Stevens is still alive in the car. Grace calls the operator for help. The vehicle has been reported stolen. The agent shuts it down remotely. The car stops in the middle of the road. Steven catches up and shoots her with a tranquilizer. Grace wakes up in the car. The Domas family is glad that Grace is being brought back. Stevens turns up the radio's music in celebration. Grace kicks him in the face, causing the car to crash. Grace climbs out of the overturned car. Daniel finds her. He knocks her out with a gun. He tells his father to come out from hiding. Alex is still handcuffed when his mother joins him. She informs him that they got Grace. She also tells him that she doesn't want to hurt Grace, but her family comes first. Alex says the curse is not real. Becky asks him that he wouldn't have let Grace pull a card if he didn't believe in the curse. Alex tells his mother that he left them because he was tired of the family's sadistic traditions. He expresses his love for Grace, saying that he chooses her over his family. Becky doubts this. Grace wakes up on a sacrificial table with Tony chanting above her head. Daniel hands his father the ritual wine, which the family passes down to drink. Grace screams under her mufflers. Tony lifts a blade over her. Before he could stab her, Tony and the rest start vomiting blood. Daniel frees Grace. Alex is finally off his handcuffs. Daniel explains that he poisoned the wine, but not enough to kill his family. He hides with Grace, but Charity holds them at gunpoint. She shoots her husband. Grace steals the gun and smacks her on the head. Grace goes to comfort Daniel, but he insists that she leaves. Tony finds Grace, but she is no longer scared. She grabs a lantern and knocks him down. The lantern falls and burns a curtain. Becky shoots an arrow at Grace, but misses. Alex finds Daniel dying on the floor, begging that he still needs his brother. He sits next to Daniel's body in grief. Becky chokes Grace. Grace grabs the tablecloth, letting the puzzle box fall. Grace fights back, hitting Becky repeatedly with the puzzle box. She stops when Alex calls her, seeing his mother's body. Alex cries, mentioning that his brother is dead. He asked Grace if she'd stay with him after all that happened. She doesn't answer. Alex touches her face, and Grace finds comfort in him. Then he holds her head tight, finally coming to a decision. Alex grabs Grace and calls for his family. The remaining members of the family come. Emily and Tony mourn for Becky. Helene pushes them to continue the ritual. The adults hold Grace down. Alex looks down on his wife with a knife in his hand. Grace looks up at him, pleading. He made his choice. Alex plunges the knife down, but Grace pulls her arm, letting him stab her shoulder. She wails, aiming the knife at them. Helene draws out the curtains. The sun has risen, causing Fitch and Tony to flinch. Helene begs for forgiveness from Mr. LaBelle from his empty chair. They wait for the worst, but nothing happens. Flinch laughs while the others are confused. Helene thinks that Mr. LaBelle has given them a second chance. She goes to attack Grace, but she explodes in front of everyone. The record starts playing as the house burns down. Fitch, Charity, Emily, and the boys die. Tony challenges Mr. LaBelle, arguing that he'd been loyal his whole life. This still doesn't save him. Grace laughs at the family's condition. Only Alex lefts. He apologizes to her. Grace denies him. She removes her ring and throws it at him. Alex explodes. Grace, tired and fed up, she wipes the blood away. She looks at the chair and sees a glimpse of Mr. LaBelle saluting her. Grace leaves the burning mansion and sits on the steps. She smokes a cigarette, which she took from Becky's body.